Have you ever wondered how the Israel-Hamas conflict began? It's a question that takes us back in time, to a world that was dramatically different from the one we inhabit today. Let's embark on this journey to understand the roots of this enduring conflict. The genesis of the conflict can be traced back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a time of great change and turmoil. This period saw the rise of Zionism, a national movement for the return of the Jewish people to their homeland and the resumption of Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel. This movement was a response to centuries of persecution in Europe and Russia, culminating in the horrific genocide of the Holocaust. Parallel to this, the Arab nationalism also gained momentum, with Palestinians seeking self-determination in the same geographical area. The stage was set for a clash of national aspirations. The formation of Israel in 1948, post-World War II, by the United Nations, was a significant milestone. However, it also sowed the seeds for future disputes as the land was divided, leading to the displacement of numerous Palestinians. Fast forward a few decades to 1987, and we see the emergence of Hamas. Born out of the First Intifada, or uprising against Israeli occupation, Hamas evolved from a local resistance movement to a significant player on the Palestinian political scene. Its charter, which called for the destruction of Israel and the establishment of an Islamic state in Palestine, set the stage for its enduring conflict with Israel. So, what we see is a complex interplay of multiple historical, political, and religious factors that have fueled this conflict. It's not just about territory or power, it's about identity, it's about survival, and it's about the struggle for self-determination. Understanding the origins of the conflict allows us to better comprehend the current situation. It provides context to the headlines and gives us a deeper appreciation of the challenges that lie ahead in the quest for peace. As we move forward, we'll dig deeper into the key players, the triggers, and the impact of this conflict. But for now, let's pause and reflect on the genesis of this long-standing dispute. The conflict is not just a faceless battle, but one involving key figures and organizations. Let's delve into the personalities that have shaped the course of this conflict. On one side, you have the Israeli government, a democratic entity with a strong military power. Israeli leaders from David Ben-Gurion to Benjamin Netanyahu have all played pivotal roles in the unfolding of this conflict. Opposing them is Hamas, a Palestinian fundamentalist group. Formed in the late 80s, Hamas has been a significant force in the Palestinian resistance, especially in the Gaza Strip. Their leaders, like Sheikh Ahmed Yassin and Ismail Haniyeh, have been instrumental in guiding the group's actions. Then there are other influential groups and individuals like the Palestinian Authority and the late Yasser Arafat. Each of these key figures and organizations have their own agendas and visions for the region, adding layers of complexity to the situation. These key players significantly influence the direction and intensity of the conflict. What exactly triggers this enduring conflict? Well, the Israel-Hamas conflict is not just a clash of armies, it's a battle of narratives, deeply rooted in territorial, political, and religious issues. Territorially, the conflict primarily centers on the disputed lands of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Both Israel and the Palestinians lay claim to these areas, leading to ongoing disputes and violence. Politically, the conflict is fueled by a complex web of power struggles. At the heart of this are the Israeli government and Hamas, the Palestinian group controlling the Gaza Strip. Each side's political aspirations often clash, leading to further tensions. Religiously, the conflict is steeped in centuries-old beliefs and identities. Jerusalem, a city sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims, is a focal point of the conflict. Each side's religious convictions add another layer of complexity to the dispute. These triggers form the backbone of the ongoing conflict and its complexities. The Gaza Strip and the West Bank are two significant territories within this conflict. These areas are not just pieces of land. They are home to millions of people and are the epicenters of this ongoing dispute. Let's start with the Gaza Strip. This small, densely populated region is located along the Mediterranean Sea, bordered by Egypt to the south and Israel to the east and north. The governance of Gaza is complex. After the withdrawal of Israeli settlers in 2005, Hamas, a Palestinian political and military organization, took control. Hamas is considered a terrorist group by many nations, including the United States and the European Union, but in Gaza, they function as a de facto governing body. Now let's cross over to the West Bank. It's larger than Gaza and is home to a larger population. Unlike Gaza, the West Bank has a more mixed governance. The Palestinian Authority, founded as a result of the Oslo Accords in the mid-90s, controls parts of it. However, Israel retains control over certain areas, and Israeli settlements dot the landscape, a contentious point in the conflict. These territories are not mere geographical entities. They represent two different realities of this conflict. Gaza, with its high population density and governance by a group many consider a terrorist organization, is often under blockade and faces severe hardships. The West Bank, on the other hand, sees a complex, intense coexistence of Palestinians and Israeli settlers, leading to frequent clashes and disputes. But it's also essential to remember that these territories are home to people with dreams, aspirations, and daily lives that go beyond the conflict. They are places of culture, history, and resilience. From the bustling markets of Gaza City to the ancient streets of Hebron in the West Bank, life goes on, even amidst the strife. These territories stand as symbols of the larger Israel-Hamas conflict. They are reminders of the historical, political, and humanitarian complexities that make this conflict one of the most enduring and challenging to resolve in modern history. Despite the conflict, there have been numerous attempts to broker peace. Over the years, a series of peace processes and agreements have been put forth, but the road to resolution has been anything but smooth. One of the earliest significant attempts was the Camp David Accords in the late 70s. This historic agreement between Israel and Egypt marked a hopeful start, yet it did little to address the Palestinian issue directly. Fast forward to the 90s, and we find the Oslo Accords. This agreement, signed by Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, aimed to pave the way for a two-state solution. However, the accords were marked by numerous setbacks, including the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, a key architect of the peace process. In the early 21st century, the roadmap for peace proposed by the Quartet, the United States, the United Nations, the European Union, and Russia, attempted to provide a plan to resolve the conflict. Yet, this too faltered amidst mutual accusations of non-compliance and subsequent waves of violence. So why have these attempts often stumbled? The reasons are multifaceted, ranging from political to territorial disputes, and from lack of trust to differing interpretations of agreements. Each side holds deep-seated fears and grievances that have been hardened by decades of conflict. Despite these failures, some important successes should not be overlooked. Peace agreements with Jordan and Egypt have held, and more recently, the Abraham Accords have seen Israel normalize relations with several Arab nations. These developments, while not directly resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, are significant strides towards a broader regional peace. The path to peace is fraught with obstacles, but it remains the ultimate goal. The journey is long and winding, filled with potholes of past grievances and roadblocks of deep-seated mistrust. But the destination, a peaceful coexistence where all can thrive, is a vision that continues to fuel these efforts despite the struggles along the way. Beyond politics and power, the conflict has a devastating impact on ordinary lives. This is the unseen story of the Israel-Hamas conflict, a narrative that unfolds in the daily lives of millions of people on both sides of the divide. The humanitarian consequences of the conflict are far-reaching and profound. The destruction of infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, and homes has become a tragic norm. The relentless cycle of violence has left countless families displaced, forced to abandon their homes and everything they hold dear. Civilians bear the brunt of the conflict. The constant fear of violence, coupled with the harsh realities of living in a conflict zone, takes a substantial toll on their mental and physical well-being. Children, the most vulnerable of all, are growing up in an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, robbed of their innocence and the promise of a normal childhood. The impact on health and education is equally distressing. The destruction of hospitals and schools not only disrupts essential services, but also threatens future generations. With limited access to healthcare and education, the prospects for a better future become increasingly dim for those caught in the conflict. The economic consequences are just as dire. With businesses and livelihoods destroyed, unemployment and poverty rates have soared. The struggle to meet basic needs such as food, water, and shelter has become a daily reality for many. In Gaza, the blockade has further exacerbated the humanitarian crisis. The restrictions on the movement of goods and people have severely hampered recovery efforts and stifled economic growth, pushing the region to the brink of a humanitarian catastrophe. These are not just statistics or faceless victims, they are individuals, families, communities, each with their own dreams and aspirations, each paying a heavy price for a conflict they did not choose. The human cost of the conflict is a sobering reminder of the urgent need for resolution. As we delve deeper into the Israel-Hamas conflict, let's not forget the real people at the heart of this crisis, whose lives are profoundly affected by the decisions made in the halls of power. The Israel-Hamas conflict has not gone unnoticed by the international community. Reactions have been vast and varied, reflecting the complex nature of the dispute. Some nations have taken sides, their stances often influenced by political, religious, or historical ties. Others have urged for a peaceful resolution, promoting dialogue and negotiation as the path forward. The role of neighboring countries cannot be understated, with many playing a significant part in shaping the course of the conflict. Some have acted as mediators, while others have been accused of fueling the fire. International organizations, too, have been actively involved. The United Nations, for instance, has repeatedly called for a ceasefire and has deployed peacekeeping forces in an attempt to maintain stability. Despite these efforts, a lasting solution remains elusive, the conflict often escalating into cycles of violence and retaliation. The world watches, reacts, and where possible, intervenes. The media plays a crucial role in shaping our understanding of the Israel-Hamas conflict. It serves as our window to the events unfolding thousands of miles away, providing us with insights, narratives, and perspectives. However, it's important to remember that media coverage can be influenced by various factors. These include political affiliations, national interests, and even personal biases. This can sometimes result in skewed representations and oversimplifications of the complex realities on the ground. Therefore, it's crucial to consume news with a critical mindset, cross-referencing multiple sources and seeking out independent and unbiased reporting. Additionally, we must recognize the role of social media in disseminating information, and remember that while it can provide real-time updates, it can also be a breeding ground for misinformation. The media, with its power to inform, also bears the responsibility to present a balanced view of the conflict. The road to resolving the Israel-Hamas conflict is littered with challenges. One of the most significant barriers is the divergent political goals of the key players. Israel seeks to ensure its security and maintain its sovereignty, while Hamas strives for the recognition of Palestine as a state, including the right of return for refugees. This divergence often leads to an impasse in negotiations, making it difficult to reach a mutually agreeable solution. Another hurdle is territorial disputes, primarily over the Gaza Strip and West Bank. Both Israel and Palestine claim sovereignty over these regions, leading to a constant tug-of-war that fuels the conflict. The presence of other militant groups in the region also complicates the situation. These groups often act independently of Hamas or the Palestinian Authority, creating a multifaceted conflict that is difficult to manage and resolve. These challenges complicate peace efforts, but they are not insurmountable. With the right approach and international support, a peaceful resolution can still be achieved. What does the future hold for the Israel-Hamas conflict? As we gaze into the crystal ball of geopolitics, we find that the answer is as complex as the conflict itself. The current state of affairs is a delicate equilibrium, with occasional flare-ups disrupting periods of uneasy calm. The prospects for resolution are clouded by a myriad of challenges, ranging from territorial disputes to political differences and deeply ingrained historical grievances. Yet, amidst this turmoil, the wheels of diplomacy continue to turn. Ongoing peace talks, mediated by international bodies and regional powers, offer a glimmer of hope. These dialogues, though fraught with difficulties, are essential for charting a path towards lasting peace. Moreover, innovative peace initiatives, proposed by scholars and diplomats alike, suggest alternative ways to bridge the divide. These include shared sovereignty, economic cooperation, and mutual recognition of national narratives. While the road ahead is steep and winding, these efforts light the way. The future is uncertain, but hope for resolution persists. Understanding the Israel-Hamas conflict is key to advocating for peace. We've journeyed through its historical roots, key players, and the triggering factors. We've differentiated between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and analyzed the failed peace efforts and the humanitarian toll this conflict takes. We've also addressed the international reactions, the role of media, and the major hurdles to reaching a resolution. We've pondered on possible solutions, heard human stories, and considered the future outlook of this conflict. The road to peace is long and fraught with challenges, but it's through understanding and awareness that we can begin to advocate for change. The conflict affects real lives every day, and it's up to us, as global citizens, to support peaceful resolutions. Stay informed, support peace initiatives, and remember, each one of us can make a difference. Let's strive for a world where understanding paves the way for peace.